Hi, this is Julia from Denver Mobility, and today we're going to talk about different types of pain and pain sources. So the first type of pain is the most obvious. It's acute pain that has a very clear source to it. So this would be something like banging your elbow against a table, or if you get up in the middle of the night and you stub your toe against a door. Obviously there's an actual collision that happens that's causing you the pain, and you know why it's there. In certain more extreme circumstances, it could be something like a car accident, or I've even seen a girl land wrong coming down from a hit in volleyball and completely tear her ACL. So those are also examples where you know exactly what happened, and also one of the few instances that you may actually need surgery to repair something that's 100% detached. For the most part, you have more simple things where you actually collided with something, and in those cases you probably just need to give it a couple days to let the bruises heal. So the next type of pain is still considered acute, which just means that it lasts anywhere between 1 day and 2 weeks, but this is pain without a clear source. So a good example, actually I have a client in this week who runs roughly 3 times a week, and just in the last week and a half she started having knee pain when she's running. So she didn't actually have a collision with anything. It's just something that started happening, and if it's within that small window, it's still considered acute pain. It just doesn't have a clear source. So for whatever reason, people tend to treat it like the first type of pain, which just means if their knee is hurting, they assume that their knee is the problem. So maybe they ice their knee, maybe they try to massage right around the ligaments of their knee. Maybe in extreme circumstances, they even think that they have a tear in their meniscus, but they're not actually sure where it came from. In my personal experience with the clients that I've worked with, it's almost never where you're feeling the pain when it pops up like that. It's always coming from somewhere else in your body. So it could be coming from fascial restriction in your calf muscles. It could be coming from a strange gait that you've been developing just slowly over time. But all of those things are important to know when you start to try to figure out the source. The next 2 types of pain, I'm kind of going to lump them in together a little bit. Anything that's gone on for 2 weeks or more technically is considered chronic pain. So that could be anywhere from 2.5 weeks all the way up to 30 years. A lot of people come in that have had pain for a really, really long period of time. Occasionally, it's very rare, but people have chronic pain from something specific that they know where it came from. Potentially they had surgery and it did not go very well, and now they're having problems with that one area, or potentially they're having some after effects of, again, something such as a car accident. But more often than not, I find that people have what they call chronic pain that doesn't have a source. So they say that they have bad knees, they say that they have a bad back, maybe they have chronic headaches, things like that, where it's been going on for so long that they just assume that it's part of life, which I'm definitely here to tell you that that is not the case. So if you have chronic pain, again, if you don't know the source, it's almost never where you're feeling it. So a low back problem is typically caused by really tight and fascially restricted quad muscles, and even sometimes the adductors as well. So when I was learning kinetics, they gave us a really good analogy to talk about some of those pain sources. So if there was a kid being beaten up on the playground by a bully, you wouldn't go over to the kid who is clearly in pain being beat up by this bully and just pat him on the head and say, "Oh man, buddy, that really sucks. It's not going so well. I'm so sorry you're in pain." You wouldn't do that. You would actually pull the bully off of the kid. So it's the same thing with your body. You're trying not to just console what is hurting. You're looking for the source of the pain, and if you can eliminate the source of the pain, everything will go back into alignment. Fascia starts to go back to where it's supposed to be, blood flow happens, movement happens, and mobility can actually be restored. So that is what I actually do a lot of in my practice, is finding and hunting down the source of your actual pain. So whether it's an acute thing that's only been going on for 2 weeks, or it's been going on for 20 years and something that you have just accepted to be chronic pain, there's so many different ways that you can figure out what's going on. Sometimes somebody stands on one leg all the time, or they're doing a really repetitive motion such as golfing or swinging a tennis racket or a baseball bat. There can even be little things like sleeping in weird positions, having an extremely stressful job. Psychological components go into it as well. So looking at all of those things and figuring out the source will give you hopefully the encouragement you need to continue to do what you love to do without any pain at all.